The session today is going to be hosted by our careers consultant, our careers employability officer international, and that's Naeem and Christina. They're going to give a little introduction to themselves coming up as well. The session is going to focus on creating impact with your CV and your cover letter, and this is extremely important for professional development, but also for that employability aspect as well, and securing those jobs which you are looking for in your own contexts. So yeah, I'm going to hand over now. So thank you for joining us, and I'm going to pass over to Nye. Good morning.
Morning, Sam. Thank you very much for that introduction, and good morning, attendees. Great to see you today from all over the world. My name is Naeem Amir, and welcome to Creating Impact with Your CV and Cover Letter webinar. As Sam said, I'm one of the careers consultants working for the career service at Cardiff Met University, and I'm joined by my colleague, Christina. Christina, over to you.
Hi guys, I'm the employability officer for international students, so I will be supporting the session on the chat. Any kind of questions you have, please pop them in there and I'll do my best to help.
Thank you, Chris. So before we even make a start, I've got a question for all of you. How long does an employer look at your CV? How long do you think an employer looks at your CV? Answers in the chat in the next 10 seconds. Some answers coming through now. Mohammed says 5 minutes. Gardi says less than a minute. And I can see some others, 2 to 5 minutes. Did you know that you have less than 10 seconds to create that impact with an employer? Can you believe it? 10 seconds. Now, all I gave you was literally 15, 20 seconds, and that is the time taken that an employer looks at your CV, especially if it's high volume, if they're recruiting for a number of roles, or it's a role that's really, really popular, then that is something. I mean, employers are time poor. You know, they don't have time, and what they do is scan the CV. All right, so that's so important for you guys now to really think about how you can create that impact within seconds. And just to put it into context as well, think of you on social media scrolling on your Instagram, your Facebook. All right, what is it that makes you stop and look at that particular post from whoever you're following? Yeah, that's how you need to think about your CV. All right. So over the next 45 minutes or so, I'll be talking about what you need to do to create impact with your CV and obviously your cover letter as well. Basically, what you need to do to ensure that you're shortlisted for a job interview. Think of your CV as a window display. Yeah, that's how you need to think about it. And think also from an employer's point of view. What is the employer looking for? I see so many CVs where the students haven't done any research and they don't really know what to put into their CV and how, and they've just thought about, oh, maybe the employer will like this and maybe the employer will like that. No, you've got to think like the employer. Okay, at the end of the day, you are creating this CV for the employer to obviously to shortlist you for interview. If you've got any questions during the webinar today, please put them in the chat and Chris will obviously try to answer them. But we do have time at the end of the webinar where I'll be taking your questions and we'll be able to answer any questions or queries that you have. So let me explain to you in a bit more detail about what we'll be covering today. Firstly, to give you a better understanding of the important sections or areas of your CV. Basically, what to include and what not to include. Secondly, to discuss the importance of a personal profile. Then to talk about one of the more important areas of your CV, your skill set. Let's try to identify what skills are important to the employer and how you can convey your message to create that impact. And finally, to touch on the cover letter. The attention and detail required for this is often misjudged, but it's as equally as important as your CV. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of a CV and creating that perfect CV, I just want to give you a brief overview regarding the different CV styles that I see every day with regards to our students and our graduates as well. So the most common style that I tend to see used by our students is the chronological CV, and this is sometimes called a traditional CV. It's structured in reverse chronological order, which means most recent first. It highlights career progression, responsibilities, and achievements. Your employment section would ideally be before your education. That's if you're more experienced. If you're a student or a recent graduate, then if you're using this style, it's best to put your education before any experience. A skills-based CV. Now, this is all about highlighting your skills, your achievements under certain categories. It's all about emphasizing your transferable skills. This CV is useful if you have limited or no experience. Also, applying for a job if it's unrelated to your education or employed, or you've been employed by one company for a long time. Creative CVs. Now I'm seeing a lot more creative CVs from our students. Now these are ideal for roles such as art and design, advertising, marketing, media, graphics, fashion. Now these CVs are meant to create an instant impact using pictures and graphics. But the content is equally as important. If you're thinking of creating a creative CV, then always start with a typical traditional CV. Ensure your content is correct and then adapt it into a creative CV. Software that you can use to produce such a CV includes Adobe Illustrator or Canva. Academic CV. Now this is really for, the teachers, the academics, the professors, and it's all about focusing on the research that you've undertaken. So if you are applying for those kind of roles, then it's really important to undertake and guide you towards the research, the projects, the dissertations, and giving further details about those. Technical CVs. So this is all about highlighting your technical skills and your technical experience, very specific experience that you may have gained. And again, these CVs are really used ideally in the technology and engineering sector as well. And finally, video CVs. These are becoming increasingly popular as well. It gives you an opportunity to showcase your personality and your creativity. A lot of the content from your CV should be in your video CV. It's just a different way of executing it. Remember, no more than 3 minutes. So what are the things that you think should be included in your CV? So we're talking about the main section headings, the main areas of your CV. Answers in the chat, please. What are the areas or sections or the things that you feel are really important to have on your CV? What are the employers looking for? Answers in the chat, please. Education, Cardi, well done. Great. Education, skills, experience, yes. Anything else? Think of your own CV or other CVs that maybe you've seen. What does an employer want to know about you? Think of all the different things that you can put. Yes, interesting. In Gardi, interests, you've mentioned. Languages, of course. Okay. And I think we've got one more coming through as well. I think you've got the gist of it, which is great. Anyway. These are the things, sections, the different areas that I think an employer would be looking for. So your personal details, remember your name, your address, your mobile number, your email address. And also don't forget, what about your social media platforms like LinkedIn, your blog posts, or even your websites? That's something that you can have at the top of your CV. A personal profile. Now, I'll be talking about this in a moment anyway, but this is an overview of who you are, the skills and experience that you can bring, and what you're ideally looking for. This is your introduction. Remember I said about your CV and making sure that it's your shop window to the world or to a potential employer. The profile is that introduction, and that's something that an employer will scan and read. And if they like what they see, they then will read on. Key skills and achievements. And this is something that a lot of our students are not highlighting. All right. Think about your skills and tailor these to what you're applying for. Around 4 skills or so is enough, especially if you're compiling a skills-based CV. The employer is looking for strong and specific examples, which you can draw from your education and work experience. Education and qualifications, yes. Again, some of the attendees mentioned that already. In chronological order, most recent first. So I often see CVs where I'm told about GCSEs or O levels and then A levels. And by the time we get to the second page, it's then that the students are telling us about their degree, always most recent first. Now, the name of the institution is useful, but not necessarily essential, but be clear on the qualification that you've received or the qualification that you are studying for as well. The grades are important, obviously, and any projects, major projects that you've worked on, such as your dissertation, would be really useful to have here. Your employment history. Now, employers love to see students and graduates with work experience. All right, so this is really important. Prioritize the most relevant or your most recent, first of all, and again, a bit like your education, work back chronologically. Your job title, the organization name, the dates that you have been employed there, and your key responsibilities. If you have a chronological CV, try to link key skills from the employer into the duties and responsibilities as well. Highlight your achievements as well, using data. So think about maybe the jobs that you've undertaken. For example, have you increased sales by 10% or introduced a computerized booking system, which has reduced the time taken to process something by 2 days? That's a big achievement. That needs to be shouted about. So that's the kind of thing that creates impact on your CV. Remember, it's not all about your education and qualifications. There are professional qualifications that you may be undertaking as well. So these are in addition to your educational qualifications, such as Microsoft Office Specialist. This is the Excel, Word, PowerPoint kind of training qualifications that you can get as well. Google Analytics, Google Marketing, maybe a first aid course that you've attended, or health and safety courses as well. Now, someone mentioned interests on the CV, in the chat earlier on. What are your thoughts about interests? Has everyone got interests on their CV? And if you haven't, that's fine. Put it in the chat. Let me know. I'd like to get just to gauge about interest, because this is sometimes a lot of people sit on the fence and they're not too sure whether they should be talking about interests. Any thoughts about, hobbies and interests? Should you include that on the CV? Shouldn't you? What are your thoughts? Any thoughts coming through? No. Oh, hello. Hiya. Oh, I can't hear you now, sorry. I could hear you then, but I can't now. Are we able to unmute? Unless you want to put something in the chat quickly. I know Gardy is typing something as well. Gardy is saying yes, we should, but briefly. Okay, I think Halima's putting something in the chat as well. Mohammed, I believe yes. Good. Good. No, I'm really pleased that you've all said yes, because I have spoken to a number of students and I've talked about interests, and they've often excluded them. And interests are something that obviously play a big part of your lives. So these are things that you do outside of the workplace or outside of your education as well. So do you play a sport? Do you volunteer? Are there any other things that you've been really passionate about, like raising money for charity? These are things that are really important. So imagine if you were the captain of a football or netball team and you've been playing for the past 2 years. Think of the skills that you've developed. Okay, so being a captain, you've got leadership skills. Working in a team, you've got great teamwork skills. Okay, you've been there for 2 years. So that shows dedication. All right, and also it's a sport. So, you're fit, you're healthy. These are things that can be demonstrated within your interests. And also, do you know what? It's the only area of the CV that an employer may look at and think, right, I see that you play football. I see that you play netball. I see that you volunteer. It's an opportunity for you to talk a little bit more about what you do outside of work and education. And again, a lot of people feel very relaxed about talking about their interests as well. So my answer would be definitely to include your interests, but give some detail. Just don't write play football, go to the gym, watch Netflix. That's not the kind of thing that they're looking for. Maybe pick one or two interests and give a bit more detail, okay? And think about what the skills potentially that you have developed by taking on those interests as well. Now, unfortunately, there are certain things that our students and graduates do as well that they shouldn't do. Incorrect contact details. So have you checked that your mobile number, that your email address is correct on your CV? Just think that if it was incorrect and an employer is trying to get a hold of you, they won't be able to. So always check and double check. Personal details as well that could be discriminated against. So things like date of birth, nationality, your gender. I've often seen passport numbers. I've seen names of mums and dads on CVs, place where you were born. All of these things are not important. They're not necessary as well. So do think about those things that maybe you've got on your CV that maybe you shouldn't know. Unprofessional email address. I love Little Mix. Anything that's maybe an email address that you've had from when you were younger. It may be better now to think of a more professional email address. Your name and a Gmail account would be more than sufficient as well. Spelling and grammatical errors, really important. It's something that you really need to focus on your CV. Your CV needs to be perfect. End of story. No opportunity to have any grammatical or spelling errors, because that gives an opportunity for an employer to not shortlist you for a job. That spelling mistake will be magnified 10 times if an employer sees that. Okay, and lies and over exaggerated statements, again, employers can see that from a distance as well. So keep it fairly staid and informative. Okay, I mentioned the profile or the personal profile earlier on. A personal profile is a concise paragraph or summary which details what you can bring to a job or company. It's also known as an opening statement or executive summary. It sits at the top of your CV. So imagine your name, your contact details, and then it's your personal profile. It's your opportunity to really sell yourself and highlight the relevant skills and experience that you possess. While effectively and succinctly convincing recruiters that you're a good fit for the role, a personal profile gives you the chance to show off your strengths and share your career goals. I've mentioned here that there are 3 main points that you should be thinking of within your profile. Who are you? Think about including who you are, what you're studying, and where. What are your unique selling points, your USPs? What's so unique and special and different about you? You've got to really stand out from the crowd. So highlight any relevant skills and experience that will impress the employer. And also that message, what's the purpose of your CV? Where are you aiming to go? What are you hoping to achieve? Because the employer needs to know where that focus or where that direction is. Although the profile is one statement, I have purposely split this example into 3 separate paragraphs to demonstrate the areas that you need to ensure that your message is clear. So this is an example of a profile. Do you remember the 3 things that we need in a profile? Who you are. So as a recent graduate from the University of Townville with a 2-1 honours degree in marketing, I have undertaken internships at industry-leading agencies such as Beyond Imagination and Noah Freeman's. So straight away, we know that this individual is a recent graduate with a 2-1 honours degree in marketing and has relevant experience. These placements have allowed me to develop sector knowledge and gain hands-on experience, as well as expand transferable skills such as commercial awareness, communication, negotiation, and analytical skills. So again, within the next sentence, we get a better feel for who that person is and a little bit more about the skills, and not just general skills, relevant skills. My career aim is to gain a role which allows me to further my expertise and take on increased responsibility at a market-leading digital marketing agency. So again, very clear as to where this person's career, his or her future lies regarding any career ambitions as well. And remember, this can change. Your CV, it's something that is not static, it's flexible, it's fluid, and you have every right and every opportunity to change that. So if you see a different role, yes, that requires maybe different skills that you have, and also maybe it's not a market-leading digital marketing agency, maybe it's a financial services company, you can change and adapt your profile for the employer. That's what the employer wants to see. You need to be speaking the same language as them. To create real impact on your CV, this is the area that I believe that you really need to focus on. This is all about your skills. Now, graduates tend to explain that they have good communication skills and good teamwork skills, but many are lacking the newer skills that are now required in the workplace. So if you look at the table on the right-hand side, can you see that employers, certainly in the UK, are looking for these skills? These are the skills that our graduates are lacking at the moment. So resilience, managing up, leadership, commercial awareness. So these questions are being asked at interview, or they're not seeing these skills. And unfortunately on their CV. So unfortunately, you're not going to the next stage of that recruitment process, either being shortlisted or even offered a job. So these are the skills that we really need to think about. We need to work on. And I'm sure that I'm sure you've got these skills. Maybe you're just not highlighting them, or maybe you're not thinking about them as well. So think of a time that you had to show or demonstrate resilience. I'm pretty sure you guys have over the last 2 years. You have had to study from home. You've had to deal with, learning from one day, in a classroom, then suddenly working at home on Teams. That change of pace, not being able to undertake any work experience. You've had to maybe manage things at home with family, COVID. There are so many different things that maybe you've had to do to undertake So, and to demonstrate that you've probably got that skill, you remember these are the things that you need to be highlighting on your CV. So really reflect back and look back as well. So remember, think about these skills. Do you have these skills? Are you telling an employer that you've got these skills? Are you providing examples? And if not, then you're not creating that impact. Remember, this is all about creating impact on your CV and cover letter. So this is a great time for you to reevaluate your strengths. Look at the job description, look at the person's specifications, look at the adverts. What are they looking for? Identify what skills employers are looking for, and then see if you can identify with those skills. Remember, sometimes the answers are there. In the advert, I am looking for a person with these skills. However, you're not reflecting that in your CV or in your applications as well. And if you find that you're lacking in those skills, what are you going to do about it? Why not undertake a new course? Or maybe undertake volunteering so you can gain those skills to then reflect that in your CV and your applications as well. Now that we seem to be getting through the other side of the pandemic and with life returning to some sort of normality, this is a great opportunity for you to press the restart button and consider different career paths and options. Be open-minded. If your plan A doesn't exist any longer, don't worry, there's always a plan B or even a plan C. And I've spoken to so many students over the past kind of 2 years where the doors have been closed to their career aspirations. But you can't just keep thinking, right, I just want to keep going at that. Maybe we just need to go. There we are, Sam saying exactly the same thing as well. I think we've all been hit by that, and I'm pretty sure you have as well. So have you thought about a plan B or a plan C? If you can demonstrate that you have transferable skills, then you're halfway there. Employers are fine with you not having relevant experience. If you've got relevant experience, great. But what they're looking for, if you've got no relevant experience, is they're looking for you to identify the skills. Get those skills on the CV and give examples. Tell me that you have a certain skill and back it up. If you're good at something, then keep going. So if you've secured the Microsoft Office Excel Specialist qualification, then consider completing the Word or the PowerPoint qualification. At the same time, if there's something that you're struggling with, then invest some time to learn more and reach out for help. Keep on top of your CV and ensure it remains up to date. Always see your CV as a work in progress, not the finished product. You will always see ways to improve it. And finally, ask yourself the question, what did I do during the lockdowns that will create impact on my CV? Did you help family and friends when they were self-isolating? Did you start a side hustle or a business? This will also be a great topic to discuss at interview 2. It's a very common thing now being asked at interview to reflect back and ask the question, what did you do or what did you learn during the pandemic? Maybe you've undertook a virtual internship. You've attended webinars like this, online courses. Maybe you've started blogging, charity, fundraising, learning a new language, developing personal fitness. These are all examples that you can actually demonstrate on your CV. So to create impact, what do you think you have to do? Well, let me just give you a really, really good example from a lady called Caitlin Maguire. Okay, so Caitlin, this was sometime last year. Caitlin posted the following message on LinkedIn. All right. So a few days ago, I came across a role on LinkedIn for a social media executive at Wagamama. So Wagamama, I'm not too sure if it's in your country, but it's a chain, it's a British chain of restaurants that sell kind of South Asian and Japanese cuisine. All right, very popular here in the UK. And they were recruiting for a social media executive. So she posted this on LinkedIn, sounding like something I would be interested in. I soon began working on my CV. I wanted my CV to be a demonstration of both my passion for the role and the creativity I could bring into it. With the role involving large amounts of innovative thinking, I wanted to ensure that my CV would stand out from the crowd. When I went to upload my CV yesterday, however, applications were no longer being accepted, despite the deadline being weeks away. I was devastated that I missed this wonderful opportunity. Nonetheless, I wanted to share my CV on LinkedIn so that my work and time spent would not go amiss, and in the hope that the power of social media could help get it noticed. This is Caitlin Maguire's CV. This is very similar to the design of a Wagamama menu. When I looked at Caitlin's CV for the first time, I just went, wow. All right. I'm going to leave this on the screen for the next 20 seconds or so. I just want you to really take it in. And I would love to hear your thoughts about your CV. Now that you've had a look at it, what do you think about this CV? Do you like it? You don't? What's good about it? What's not so good? Has it impressed you? Is this something that you would be prepared to do? Answers in the chat, please. I think we've got Halima writing. We've got Patrick. It's brief and interesting. It's creative, making it similar to the menu. I like it. It looks different from normal CVs. Good. Cardi, very creative, totally worth investing time and effort. It looks like, yes, it does. It looks like the menu. And that's what Caitlin was trying to do. And I'm sure that you will agree with me, this CV created an impact. All right. This generated over 20,000 likes on LinkedIn, probably, you know, 1 million views or maybe more, and over 800 comments. I think I was one of the people who celebrated that and left a comment as well. But look at this. It caught the attention of the people director of Wagamama, who states here that he loves this and we're delighted to accept your application. Can you see the power of social media, first of all? And secondly, can you see the impression you can leave by investing time and effort in your CV? A CV is something that you can't just formulate and put together in a day. It takes a lot of time, effort, and certainly in Caitlin's, idea that, that creativity that she's shown, and she had to show that. It was a social media opportunity, and social media is all about standing out from the crowd, being unique, being different. So that's what she was trying to demonstrate, which I think she did successfully. Whether she got the job or not, I'm not too sure. I haven't followed up. Maybe that's something I need to do as well. Great. Thank you very much for your comments there. Now, remember, to create impact with your CV does not have to be in a Word document or something designed using Illustrator. What about creating a video CV? So video CVs are becoming increasingly popular with employers who are using them to shortlist suitable candidates for interview or as part of their recruitment and selection process. Video CVs offer candidates the opportunity to be more visual and creative in presenting their background, skills, and experience, and ultimately convincing the recruiters to offer an interview. Video CV should contain the same information covered in your printed CV, but obviously presented in a much more visual style. Let's check out this example of a video CV. So this is a chance for you to kind of sit back and relax a little bit. Watch this for just over 2 minutes. Now, I'm going to play it. Hopefully you'll be able to see it and hear it. If you do have an issue, can you see that there is a link there on the left? Maybe you can click on that. But let's give this a try first of all, and maybe you can give me the thumbs up to say that you can see it and hear it as well. Now that video was just over 2 minutes, and I really like that. You know, he's invested a lot of time, effort, very creative, but within 2 minutes or so, that's something that, you know, you get a real insight into his life, his world, his achievements, and his aspirations as well. So if it's something that maybe you've not done, but you need to do, consider it. Have a think about it. And let's not forget about LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, then I would advise you to join this incredible social media platform, right? This is your opportunity to tell other LinkedIn users who you are and what you're able to offer a prospective employer. It's a bit like having your CV on display. In fact, it's more important than your CV, as practically anyone in the world can view your profile. You can define and develop how other members view your professional experience and qualifications. Since you will have complete control over your profile and its visibility, you can customize it to fit your needs. Your profile will help recruiters and other users to understand your professional personality. Since people and organizations globally use LinkedIn, a LinkedIn profile will help you get noticed. An updated profile is a great way to ensure that you can be found by the right people at the right time. It's also an excellent way to find job opportunities and connect with recruiters. Once you've completed your profile, you'll be more equipped to find jobs on LinkedIn. On screen, you can see the LinkedIn profile of a final year Cardiff Metropolitan University student, Louis Jones. We get to see who Louis is, what he looks like, the areas of interest via his headline, that's just under his name, and also his banner. An optimized banner image means that when people are viewing your profile, you look professional. You can use it to display more information about who you are, and it gives you the opportunity to stand out from the crowd. If you would like to view Louis' full LinkedIn profile, you can click on the link at the bottom of the slide. Here's a quote from a recruiter who uses LinkedIn to find talent. When we're looking for new people to join the team, I always double check LinkedIn. I've used it to not only post and advertise positions, but also to take a look at potential candidates. After also previously working in recruitment, I cannot stress how important it is to have an up-to-date and professional LinkedIn profile. This is the perfect example to demonstrate that employers not only advertise their roles on LinkedIn, they proactively search LinkedIn for new talent. As Jake says here, it's so important to have an up-to-date LinkedIn profile. So if Jake is using LinkedIn to recruit talent, is this the way forward? Let's just finish off the CV section with my top tips. So if you are going to put a CV together, no more than 2 sides. Okay, I often see CVs 3, 4, 5 pages. No way. Get all your details and information onto 2 sides. When you're talking about maybe your duties and responsibilities or talking about your skills, then always try to bullet point them. All right, bullet points are so much easier to read rather than information within a paragraph as well. And try not to overuse the word I. I often see in CVs, I did this, I prepared this, I managed this, I was responsible for this. We know it's you because it's your CV. All right, so let's get rid of the I's. Let's keep it straight forward, clear and concise. Appropriate formats, that means just to lay out the layout of the CV, ensure that there is, some sort of order, your contact details, your profile, your education, your experience, your interests, any other qualifications and training that you've undertaken, that there is some sort of order and it's consistent, and also to use one font. There's no harm in maybe highlighting or making your headings slightly bigger, underline them, make them slightly bigger than the rest of the font size, but use the same font right throughout. Let's talk about achievements. All right. I think employers aren't necessarily looking for what you did. Okay, that's important. Okay, what you did in a job, yes. However, what's really going to create impact is what you achieved. What contribution did you make? How did you make a difference? Because if you have made a difference in a job or an organization, then that is something that can be replicated in another organizations, and employers want to hear about that as well. Again, I often see words such as strong communicator. What does that mean? Yeah, if you are a strong communicator, then give evidence, back it up. Yeah, give further details and information about the skills, and aim your CV at the target audience. So this is all about tailoring your CV, ensuring that your CV is fit for purpose for that particular job or that particular company. And remember, if there is a different job or a different company, then you may need to look at tweaking or changing that CV so that's fit for purpose for that particular job or that organization as well. Minimize white space. So that basically means that, like I said, I'll give you an example where I see CVs and the duties, the responsibilities, the information is very brief, and you see more white space rather than content. So what we're trying to do here is to add content, but good content to your CV. I've talked about creativity before, but don't overdo it. I often see crazy colors of blues and reds and greens, and it just doesn't make sense. That's something that maybe the student or the graduate thinks is a good idea, but unfortunately is not. Proofreading, I've said it before, spelling, grammatical errors, so important to have it proofread and get someone else to proofread it as well. And if you're emailing your CV to someone, instead of sending it in a Word document, PDF it first and then send it. I just want to briefly talk about cover letters. We said about how important it is, and sometimes equally as important, to have a cover letter. So this is an email or a letter that accompanies your CV as part of a job application. This is your opportunity to tailor your application and write directly to the recruiter, giving them compelling reasons to consider you. Here, You can demonstrate your research, give additional evidence linked to your CV, and show your enthusiasm and drive for the role. It's really important to have a structure for your cover letter. So when you look at your CV, you've only got 2 pages max. I see CVs on 1 page. That's fine. That's okay. It works all right. However, you can go up to 2. Try not to do any more. But it doesn't give you much of an opportunity to maybe expand on some certain points or certain areas. However, the cover letter gives you that opportunity as well. So when you're designing or compiling your cover letter, ensure that you follow a certain format. Okay, there's a certain structure that will benefit you, and stick to that structure. It does really work as well. So think about the person that you're writing to. Have you got the name of the person? Do you have an address? And if you don't, find out. Simple as that. All right. Don't just say, oh, they didn't give it to me. Try and find out if you are able to as well. But the most important thing is the structure of the cover letter. And we can split this into 4 very distinct and clear paragraphs. So that first paragraph is your introduction. What's the role? What's the position that you're applying for? Where did you see it? So it's a very brief introduction. All right. Now the middle paragraphs, so your second paragraph will be, why do you think you are right for that role? Are you suitable? If you are, great. Tell me why you're suitable. So tell me about your skills and your experience as well. All right. So that second paragraph, tell me a little bit about you and why you think you are right for that particular job. All right. The third paragraph, why do you want to work for this company? What is it that attracted you to this business or this organization? Do a bit of research. You can look at their website, or if you Google their name, there could be details or information about that particular organization that you won't find on their website. Have they won awards? Have they, are they going through big expansion plans? Are they playing a big part in environmental change and sustainability? And maybe that's something that you are really keen and motivated to hear about and learn more as well. And that final paragraph, is the that reiteration. You bring everything together and just say thank you very much for looking at my application. I look forward to meeting up with you. So that first and final paragraph, that introduction and conclusion, brief and to the point. However, in terms of those middle paragraphs, then it's all about why do you think you are right for the business and why do you want to work for the company? So just some overriding tips, just to summarize as well. So make sure you tailor it to the organization or the employer. Do your research. Address the letter correctly. If they've requested a cover letter, then there is a format that you can follow. I'll talk about that in a moment. Introduce yourself. This is your opportunity to say a little bit more. Your profile is quite brief on your CV. Here's an opportunity to maybe say a little bit more, but always relate it back to the job. Highlight 3 or 4 skills from your CV. So if you feel that maybe you've not expanded or you've not had the opportunity to say a little bit more about your skills, here's the opportunity that maybe you can. And showcase your USPs. Why you? Why are you different? Why are you the person for this job? All right. Remember, promote yourself, sell yourself. If you don't, someone else will. That summary and closing sentence, that opening paragraph and that closing paragraph as well, just kind of brings it all together. And if you are sending your CV in a certain format or a style, do you know what would be a good idea? To have a similar style or a format for the cover letter as well. And as I said to you at the end, with regard to the CVs as well, proofread, check your spelling as well. Make sure that the format is correct. You've got those distinct paragraphs and it reads grammatically correct and there's no spelling mistakes or errors as well. Now, I've found a brilliant article. There it is, How to Write a Cover Letter, Guides and Examples. I'm not too sure if you are able to click on it, but that shows you in a lot more detail how to compile a really good cover letter. And we've come to the end of the presentation. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for engaging on the chat as well. Sam, over to you.
Thank you very much, Naeem. That was an absolutely brilliant session. I think we can all just say thank you for that and the amount of information that was given. I think it was extremely helpful, and certainly some things that I've picked up myself actually for my own CV and cover letter for the future. Has anybody got any questions for Naeem? And if you would like to, we can spotlight you if you'd like to, or you can put them in a chat. It's entirely up to you. Or we've got 5 minutes until the next session, and if people wanted to email me them instead, and I can send them across to Naeem instead, that's entirely up to you. But yeah, I think we're just getting some feedback from this session as well. And I think most importantly, I mean, that there are more sessions of this nature available to you as Cardiff Met students as well, and you can access this through MetHub. And I'm just going to put the link in there for you. If there's anything in terms of, because Naeem delivers some LinkedIn sessions as well, and I think this touches upon that and building your networks, your connections, and other stuff as well. So if you wanted to access that, and you are, as Cardiff Met students, you can access it through your student number and your password. So please use that. And yeah, is there any questions for Naeem, or are we just looking for feedback? And I'm really impressed with that video. And use of Echo and the Bunnymen, the cover. It's one of my favourite tracks. So yeah, that was great to see.
Yeah, brilliant. No, it's a really impressive. I mean, again, can you see the time and the effort that these individuals are putting into their careers, you know, and this is something that a lot of our students and graduates need to be thinking about. You know, I'm being very honest and very blunt here. It's a very crowded marketplace. You know, there could be one job and there could be, you know, 40, 50, 60, even more applicants as well. Yeah. What do you need to do to really stand out from the crowd? So you've got to follow that whole process of making sure that your CV, your cover letter, or your application are spot on. You know, it's something that needs to be really different, unique, special. But you've got to invest that time. Yeah, you've got to put that time and effort into that. And then again, if you are shortlisted and you are invited to interview, it's, you know, that most of the hard work is done. You're nearly there, but what are the things that you need to do to really shine that interview as well? So those are the things you need to follow the whole recruitment process. It's not just the beginning, there is a middle and an end as well. Gardi has, I think, got a question, very informative. Thank you, Gardi, thank you very much. Also, do we have to tailor a CV for every job that we are applying for? Gardi, that's entirely up to you. But let me give you this scenario. Imagine there are 10 different jobs and you have one CV, and you're sending the same CV to 10 different jobs. Do you think that you need to tailor it? My answer would be yes. So I often see posts on LinkedIn where individuals have said, I've applied for 50 jobs today. Wow. All they're doing basically is seeing a job, hitting the submit button and sending a CV. You are better off investing that time. So if you can identify 5 jobs that you really want to apply for, yeah, look at that first job, read it, understand it. And then I'm not saying have a completely different CV, change your CV or tweak your CV to ensure that you're talking the employer's language. They're giving you a heads up in the advert or the job description, or more importantly, the person's specification. They're actually telling you the kind of person that they're looking to recruit. And if you're not replicating that information, then your CV will not be picked up. So I want you to think, as I said to you right at the beginning, look at your applications and your CV from the employer's point of view. Then go to the next employer, and that next employer or that next job is going to be different to that first one. So again, you need to do that research. So rather than sending 50 CVs in one day, you're better off sending 5 CVs that are targeted, that are tailored. I will guarantee that you are more likely to get an interview request and be shortlisted rather than just shooting off a CV. Gadi, I hope that's answered your question. I hope so. I think Halima has a question. I'm not too sure if you're able or unable to mute.
Yeah. There's an echo. Can you hear me now?
I can hear
Wait,
you.
yes. I'm talking from my phone, so that's why. Wait. Now, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
We can hear you.
Okay. My question was because like we're from different countries, it becomes different if we even like wait. Like, does your country or your background affects the way your CV, you write your CV, or your CV from different, backgrounds? Does that impact on your CV? Basically, what we're asking. Also, in the creativity base, because it's different between country and other. So this is what my question is.
Yeah, I mean, I am talking more so from a UK perspective. This is the information that we give our students, and you're probably aware that in terms of the UK, we are kind of leading the way in terms of how CVs are now viewed and looked at as well. So what I don't want you to think of thinking, I've got a very traditional CV. This is how things are always done. What I want you to do is step out of that and be a little bit different and introduce some of these principles in your CVs. And if this is something that you've not seen, well, employers will hopefully see that as a good thing. If you are maybe giving additional information about your experiences, talking about your achievements, if you've added a bit of creativity, if you've used the software that's out there, that's saying something. If you've designed your CV on Canva or Illustrator and you're in the creative industry, again, that is saying something about your creativity skills as well. So I don't know if I'm answering your question correctly, but if you are in a country where maybe things haven't moved on as much or as quickly as maybe how things have developed here in the UK, then that's something that maybe you need to start thinking about and start. Like I said, you need to be different. You need to be unique. You need to really sell. This is the other thing as well. Promote your skills and promote your achievements. And that's something that even our students find difficult, but we are educating our students to do that. And that's something that I would want you to do. Imagine you are an employer. Sam, are we okay for time? I know we've gone over.
Just probably just if we could just wrap up with the last question. If we've got Jamie and Chris waiting in the wings to take over.
No, that's fine. No, I was just going to say, imagine an employer that sees or receives your CV. If you are going to really stand out from the crowd, they want to see something different rather than having something of that kind of, oh, it's another CV. It looks exactly the same. It's the same format. Okay. That's the thing that you have to think about, and that's what I've tried to do to say that. We'll have to leave it there. Sorry, Sam. I know I've gone over. Apologies about that, but
no problem at all, my friend. No, thank you again for the absolutely brilliant session. If you are on LinkedIn, then find us and connect with us and talk about this session today and some of the things that you've actually learned and some of the things that you may use from the practical examples to try and get that job that you're looking for. And yeah, thank you again, Nye. Been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Christina, as well. Absolute pleasure to meet you. And we'll see you again soon. And if you've got 5 minutes, if you're coming into the next session, grab yourself a little drink or something, or if you need to go and use the restroom, then please do that, and we'll hand over to Jamie and Chris. But again, thank you both. An absolutely brilliant session and such value for our students. We appreciate it.
All the best. Nice to see you all, and thank you for the engagement. It was brilliant. Yeah, thank you very much. And Sam, thanks again for inviting me.
Always welcome. Thank you very much.
Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.
Okay. And I'd like to introduce to you Jamie and Chris. This is a little bit of a watershed moment, really, isn't it, Chris? Because this is your last session with us and the partner event in this role. So
it is, yes, it is, Sam. It is.
Yeah, quite a sad moment for us all, particularly for Jamie. But I'd like to introduce you both, and this is the best of IT and library session. This is one of our most popular sessions that we have, and we really thank you for being involved for this one. And I'm going to pass over to Chris and Jamie. So thank you both.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right. I assume, Kieran, are you bringing the presentation up? Perfect. Right. I'm just going to take control. Slightly different way of doing this for us. So bear with me a second. So take control. And there we go. Right. Okay. Okay. So welcome to my final library and information services induction. So what we're doing is just a brief talk about what library and IT offer from your perspective. Okay. So as we move through the slides, so this is myself and Jamie. Now, as we've already said, this is my last session. I've got a new job within Cardiff Met, but I quite happily said I'd do this because I said that Sam asked us a while ago to do this. So I said, of course, even though I've got a new job, fine, no problem. I'm still, sorry, I've just seen Sam's little emoji. I'm still in IT, just in a slightly different area. That's all. So it's a little bit of a promotion for me. But at the end of this session, what I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce you to my, sounds sad actually, my replacement, my stand-in, my replacement. So Jamie's sort of new partner within this area. So it's a sad goodbye from me, but my final presentation. Anyway, so that's us for now. Anyway, so there's Jamie there on the right. That picture was taken in our global lounge. Right. So let's get on with the actual IT induction side of it first then. So getting started. So the best way we tell all our students to get started with everything, especially partnership students, because obviously you guys are all off-site, but we tell this the same for home students. How we look at you as students, even though you're with our partners, you're all part of the Cardiff Met family. Of course you are. You're all our students. So we don't think of you any differently. You're always our students, okay? So everything a student at home can get, you can get. If you were to come and visit Cardiff, you could use our systems as well. You just sign in with your student number and password, okay? So let's get this underway. So a good port of call for you all, study.cardiffmet.ac.uk. This is the gateway to all of our services. Jamie runs through a bit of navigation towards that in his session, okay? So after that then, we have metsearch.cardiffmet.ac.uk. This is accessible through Study, but MetSearch is a direct link to MetSearch. I know this is one of our biggest sort of queries through partners. Jamie gets a lot of queries about MetSearch. But so to start with, your gateway is metsearch.cardiffmet.ac.uk. The final link there, unfortunately, is a bit of a mouthful because the link changed probably within the last year, if I remember rightly. So this link is for Met Central, your student hub, so the generic student hub, not linked directly to IT, it's your Cardiff Met hub, okay? So if you go to outlookuakc.sharepoint.com/sites/students, sorry, again, it's a bit of a mouthful, but once you're in, I recommend you save it as a favorite so you haven't got to type all that again, okay? And this is sort of your gateway to everything Cardiff Met, okay? We, of course, offer an online induction as well. So you can basically navigate yourself, have a look, do an induction in your own time. The way you find that, I'm not going to go into it too much here because it's for you to find out, is lisinduction.cardiffmet.ac.uk. That's lisinduction.cardiffmet.ac.uk. Right. So with regards to IT support, we look at sort of common problems. What are sort of common problems which the help desk get over the phone? So what we did when we used to do these inductions, as you can imagine, they used to go on. They could go on and on and on. So we tried to break it down a little bit into a top 5, if you will. Okay. So the way we look at this, first of all, know your Cardiff Met enrollment details. Where do you find these? How to solve your password problems. Alter personal information. This is a big one because this connects to a lot of things via our SDV portal, Student Details Verification Portal. Use your student software. So basically software available to you as students. What we offer you, okay? And of course, the big one, how do you contact us for IT help? So the first one, I don't know how many of you have seen this. Hopefully you all have. You're all here. But it's a very common question. Where do I find my enrollment details? So when you enroll at Cardiff Met, you were sent an email. This email will contain the all-important student number, that ST number, and what it'll do, it'll have a temporary password or a password you can keep. We recommend you change it, of course, but there's a password there. And of course, you'll have confirmation of your email address. Your email address can consist of usually your first initial and your surname, usually. But a best way for it to work for students is you use that ST number. Both work, but we recommend the ST number because that will then sort of resolve into your actual name. So your student number at outlook.cardiffmet.ac.uk. So those details will appear. You'll see it on quite a large, it'll be all your enrollment details, but within there, you'll see this little section, okay? And as I said, these are sent to your nominated email address, okay? So the nominated email address is the email address you specify when you enroll, okay? If you don't receive an email after you've enrolled, please remember the usual thing, check your spam and your junk folders, okay? Because we do get some queries about why it hasn't appeared. Of course, what this doesn't take into account if you've made a mistake, if you spelt it wrong, okay? There is a way around this. We'll come to that in a bit. You basically contact the IT help desk and they can help you out. But remember, it's all about the spelling. We've had some interesting instances in the past where students have enrolled, but they've actually supplied a family member's email address or a friend's email address rather than their own. So of course, that's not potentially not always accessible to yourself. So always use a personal email address. Okay. Oops, sorry, my presentation is jumping. Okay, so the next part, if you take note of this, password.cardiffmet.ac.uk. What this is the password management system. Okay, so think of it as your self-service. So this is the first thing to try. If you know your student number, this is the first thing you try if you can't get your password to work. So simply go to password.cardiffmet.ac.uk, select student, because you're student, and you'll be presented with a screen similar to this. Sorry, we don't do live demos. That's something maybe the new team will look at in the future. Live demos take a little bit of time and don't always work and things go wrong. So please bear with the PowerPoint slides. So basically what you'll see this screen. So you enter your network login ID, your student number, okay, your date of birth, and then the good old sort of text boxes that we all see these just to prove we are who we are. You then hit submit, and a text token then, so you can carry on, will be sent to your mobile phone or nominated email. Of course, this is assuming they are both right. Okay, so if you receive nothing, there's probably going to be mistakes somewhere down the line. All right, but this is where the help desk can come in and assist you. Okay, so how do I change my details myself? How do you change your details yourself? Well, basically, if you go to that student Met Central, which I said at the start, so unfortunately it's that long address. If you sort of pin that down and keep a record of it. First things first, if you don't know your details, if you have any problems with that, you can contact the IT help desk. Answer security questions. They'll tell you what your student number is. They'll let you know what your student number is, and they'll supply you with a temporary password. Okay. Once in, you can then go to Met Central, and once you're in there, if you go to tools and resources, and then manage my details. You sign in with your student number and that temporary password. The way I look at the SDV portal is it's split into two. There's two areas. One you need to provide evidence for, and one you can just go ahead and change your details. So one, if you say, for example, say you get married and your surname changes, you need to provide evidence. Okay, so that's where this one comes in. Not to worry about this one because that's not applicable to what I'm trying to get through to you, but that's what part of what you see. Okay. The next one, this is where you can change details. So this is where you can actually change your address, term time address, correspondence address, permanent address. But what we're interested in here, say from the password point of view, we need to check the personal email and telephone number are correct. Okay. So it says UK telephone number there, but I'm pretty sure it does work. But you've got the email as a backup. Okay, I can't test this because obviously I'm not a student, but this is It's a funny one, but you've got your email as a backup if this doesn't work. Okay. So basically here you can change the email and the telephone number. But remember, this is your responsibility. That's why I put that in red there. It's your responsibility. You need to make sure all these details are correct. Okay. And then the system will work properly for you. Okay. So that's the SDV portal, Student Details Verification Portal. Next, the all-important thing. What freebies do I get? What can I get from Cardiff Met Join It when I join? So the big one, I know some of our partners do get this, but some don't through their home institution. But Cardiff Met supplies this to all students. The big one, you get full Office 365 access. So of course, this includes Teams, the all-important Teams at the moment, especially where we are now. I mean, we're presenting on Teams, okay? So it gives you access to Cardiff Met Teams, OneDrive, email, and basically all the available apps. Okay. So how do you get to it? I'm sorry if you already know this, but you go to portal.office.com. That's the address I always use. There are different ones, but I always go to portal.office.com because that always resolves to the right location. You then sign in with your student number, your ST number, and then your password. Okay. So when you sign in with your student number, you always do whatever the number is. So in that instance there, ST20110626. And then the bit after that's important is at outlook.cardiffmet.ac.uk. It's important to remember that Outlook bit, okay? So once you're signed in, you'll get access to your 1 terabyte OneDrive storage, 50 gig of Outlook storage. So you've got 50 gigs worth of space in your email. All the sort of Office Online applications, the usual suspects there. And of course, you can actually install these on your own personal devices. So when you sign in to the sort of the landing page at portal.office.com, you will in the top right see a little button that says install, and it will install it on your device. This is available for Mac, Windows, and mobile devices. And basically how it works, you actually get 5 licenses. You get 5 licenses for each. So 5 licenses for, say, a Windows-based machine and a Mac, so 5 between Windows and Mac. But then you also get 5 mobile licenses. So you get access, or say you've got an iPad, iPhone, Android devices, whatever. You just go to the App Store, download the apps, and then you sign in with your Cardiff Met credentials, and that activates the app. And of course, OneDrive, etc., Teams, they're all available in the same way as well. The only thing I do ask is you may be tempted to share these licenses with family and friends. Try not to, because what they'll have full access to your OneDrive as well. And if you are doing, so you're doing a research project, and this research project is, you've got data in the project that falls under British data law, you need to make sure that's protected, okay? Because you could be in breach of data law. So especially if you're doing something that involves personal information, a survey or something, that's what you need to be considerate about. So it's best not to share these if you can help it, okay? Apps Anywhere. So Apps Anywhere is a sort of it's a self-service cloud-based service where you can download various pieces of software. From a Cardiff Met point of view, this is used on and off campus. Okay, so when you sign into it, you may see applications, you may get excited and say, "Oh, there's Adobe." That doesn't mean you can download it, okay? Because it's used on and off site. There'll be a little notification in there somewhere that says it's for campus use only, because things like that, it's so expensive. We're only technically licensed for things like that on campus, okay? However, of course, if you came to the UK, you can use it, no problem at all. But the important ones, which you can download, and this applies to everybody, is MathWorks, MATLAB, NVivo, and SPSS. Those are the big ones. SPSS, I always get a lot of partner queries with regards to SPSS, but the way you download it is appsanywhere.cardiffmet.ac.uk. Sign in with your student number and the password. It'll ask you to install a little bit of software called Cloud Player, and then it'll virtualize the software on your machine. So it's a nice little bit of software that, and it's got better over time, and it is improving. Part of my new role, I am going to be doing things with Apps Anywhere, so I'm going more behind the scenes now. Okay. Very, very important this part here, this slide. Never share, pretty much what I said about Office, but never share your account details. So if a friend of yours can't log into, say, Moodle, MetSearch, anything like that, don't give your username and password. We don't give our usernames and passwords to staff, mainly because you can be in breach of UK data law. Okay, so what happens is, if you have an issue with your account, so if anyone's got an issue with your account, your first point of contact should always be the IT help desk. Okay, I'll just read through this little bit I've written here. So UK data law is known as GDPR, and the Data Protection Act. This protects all information Cardiff Met holds about you. Okay, this means that you and you alone are responsible for your account, and you must not ask anyone to act on your behalf. Okay, so what that bit means there is, in the past we've had a course director of a particular cohort. They'll gather all the student names, and then they'll email our IT help desk here at Cardiff Met, and they'll turn around and say, can you please provide all these students with their usernames and passwords? Well, the answer to that, unfortunately, is no, we can't, mainly because of this UK data law. You need to do it on an individual basis, okay? You need to either email the help desk, which I'll give you the details for in a bit now, or telephone them, okay? You, as a student, you are responsible for your account. I'm sorry if this sounds preaching, but over the years of doing it, I've just seen some quite alarming things. So please look after your accounts, okay, and maintain and be responsible for them if something goes wrong. Okay. Right. How do you contact us? Well, in term time, we're available 8 until 8 at night. But please bear in mind that is UK time. So to put it in perspective, if you look at your clocks now, it is about 10:30 in the morning in the UK. Okay. So 8 until 8. Vacation time is 8 until 5. Okay. And outside of that, you can email. So Saturday and Sundays, email the IT help desk. Remember, a working week in the UK is usually Monday to Friday. Okay, and there are some staff about on the weekends, but currently they don't answer the phones. IT help desk at cardiffmet.ac.uk is the email there. So you just give them a shout on the email. I'll give you the phone number for the help desk shortly. That's my next slide. So you can phone the IT help desk 0044 2920 417,000. What they'll do, they'll ask you to confirm your student number and your date of birth. If you don't know your student number, they can look you up by name, but they might ask you your date of birth and your term time address or your permanent address. It'll be a random security question. Okay, they just need to confirm it's you. That's perfectly normal. Okay, they don't just assume you are the person you say you are. They can't do that. Okay, so please be aware of that. Same with emails. So email IT Help Desk, as I've already said, ithelpdesk@cardiffmet.ac.uk. And finally there, you can follow us on Twitter at MetLearnNews. This is managed by LNIS as a whole. Going back to the email, I know a lot of students generally, they prefer email. Again, what the help desk will do if you send an email in, they'll just maybe reply back to you, can you confirm some security details? Just to confirm who you are. And then they'll go ahead and help you. No problem at all. No problem at all. Right. That's it from my session. I'm going to hand over to Jamie now. And I think
I take control. Is that okay?
Yeah. You take control. I'm assuming you've got control. Perfect.
I hope so. Okay, let's just see if I can put the next slide on. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's come up now. Thanks for that, Chris. Good reminder, and lots of things to be aware of there about how to get IT help. So I work closely with Chris, supporting our global engagement department and everybody else. So my name is Jamie. Some of you might have seen me before. I'm not entirely sure. I'm a librarian at Cardiff Met. I've been a librarian for about 25 years, so I've seen a few inquiries in my time. I'm here today to pass on the message from the from the library side. You've already heard Chris, and the point we are trying to get across at this event is, if you could, as representatives of your student body, pass along these messages. So we're relying on you now to communicate what we say, because it's really, really important. And I think there's a lot of people that don't know everything that's available to them. Okay, so right, I'll just work my way slowly through this slide. And I think the most important bit is that your course support is entirely online. It's electronic, online, whatever you want to call it. It's via the internet. Essentially, that means you looking at ebooks and some e-journals and some databases specific to your subject of study. You have to know, as Chris has already said, your Cardiff Met username and password to access these because they cost a lot of money. I'll talk about that in a minute. So I'm trying to direct all of your information finding to MetSearch, which is our library catalogue, but it's also so much more than that. It's in fact a portal to a lot of information. Okay. So yeah, I'll talk about that in just a second, hopefully. Okay. So I'm not sure how many people here really appreciate the value of information. Okay. I was thinking about this morning. It was my first thought when I woke up. I know I'm sad, but information is something we take for granted. And it's something that the internet has opened up for us. Now, we know, obviously, that all of us use Google. We're all kind of behaviorally addicted to just going straight to Google and searching. But I think there is a place for it, but it's not the only thing you need to use for your course. I think if you do use Google, then you're going to miss out on a lot of information. I mean, I put there, it's £1 million worth of content. It's more than that now. It's about £1.4 million of licenses and content that we renew every year. So you're looking at a multi-million British pound kind of deal over decades. And you get access to all of this for free, okay? There's no cost for you to access MetSearch. And its quality and, literally, that is what I want to direct you towards. I want to remind you that Google is an advertising company. They make money from you. You're the product. So all the kind of data that they feed you, and a lot of it isn't very good or organized in a very nice way. You might not even be able to tell a good piece of, a good result from a bad result on Google. So bear in mind that you're the product, and they're only trying to help you because it helps them to gather information about you and resell that information. Okay, right. That's probably the most important thing, really. You must use academic sources. And by that, there's a very, very important word, and that's peer-reviewed. Okay, remember, peer-reviewed. They have to be peer-reviewed journals. Books are peer-reviewed anyway. Peer-reviewed means checked by experts. So they're written by experts, and the content is checked by their peers, their colleagues, before those items are published. And this is what you must use. Do not use blogs, anything, I can't even say the word Wikipedia. Do not use commercial websites, anything with .coms or whatever, don't use it. If it's a good quality journal article, then use it, okay? And master the technical skill of referencing. It's only a technical skill, it can be learned. It's not a great mystery, okay? And I'll come back a little bit about that later. Now, what you have to do is you have to go straight to metsearch.cardiffmet.ac.uk. Put that in your browser, type it into the URL bar at the top of your browser, go straight to it. And then another thing is in the top right of the screen, please sign in to MetSearch. And then we know you're a student of Cardiff Met and you get all those rights and privileges to all this high quality information. I don't know whether you can see the screenshot clearly that I've got here. There is a user guide on the main screen, but what you're seeing is essentially a general search at the top, which does its job really. And just above the general search box, you've got links to the journal search and you've got the database A to Z. And those are absolutely critical for doing your degree to a high quality standard. Now, let's just say I did a search. This is just a results screen from MetSearch. Typically, you'll get tens, if not hundreds of thousands of results because its job is to cover everything we've purchased. But you must remember to use the filters on the right-hand side of the screen, on the results screen. And it's best to use, under availability, there's even a filter for peer-reviewed journals. And that does half the work for you because that makes sure that what you're seeing in the result list is things that are good quality items. So remember to tick peer-reviewed journals under availability. You can also do under resource type, whether it's articles or books, whatever, but I find subject and date also really good ways of narrowing things down. Date is really important for your work. It's important to keep your work current, cutting edge, up to date, and preferably include something that your assessor or your tutor hasn't read, because it makes their life a little bit more interesting, and it'll get you higher grades as well. Yeah, I'm not going to really go into too much detail on this slide, actually. I'm going to skip that one. Maybe I should have taken it out. Right, so what we're looking at here in the top of the screen is a result, okay? It's a journal article, and I just want to draw your attention to the right-hand side, top right, there's a little pin. And if you select that pin, then as long as you've signed in, you can start to favorite items, and they'll be stored for you right next to your name on MetSearch, top of screen, and you can then start to get organized, and it never disappears. This list of favorites is there for good, really. We back it up, we protect it. It doesn't close down when you close your screen, and it's a good way of starting to get organized if you haven't already got organized in terms of how you store your references and that sort of thing. So just to say, MetSearch has that facility. Now, ebooks, okay, top of the screen is a result for an ebook. It says book, and just beneath the result, it says online access. Now you just click that green link for online access, and you go to the landing page, which is the major part of this slide. Take a good close look at the bit with the box around it, because the box shows you how many copies of the book we've got electronically, so how many licenses we bought. It also reminds you about how many days you can download the book. So remember, if you download the whole book, then it'll expire after a certain amount of days, which is advertised on that screen. You can download a PDF chapter, just the one chapter, and you can keep that forever. Okay, so just remember that it's there. Okay, what you're seeing here is the journal search. At the top of the screen, remember I was saying, MetSearch, top of the screen, journal search, and database A to Z. So if I click the journal search, this is what I get. You get a box that's asking you for the name of an academic magazine. Now, you might not know them that cover your subject, some of the best ones. If you're in doubt, you can always drop me a message, or your tutor, or your personal tutor. And you can type in a word that might appear in the title of the journal. So if you're studying leadership, just type in leadership. If you're studying fashion, type in fashion. And then you'll see some of the best journals in that area. We've also got an app for that, okay? And it's called Browsine. That is spelled Browzine. Type that into iTunes and Google Play, and you can literally see a curated, i.e. specially selected list of journals that we subscribe to. And you can look at them on your phone as well. I know a lot of you use your phones for research. So don't forget, download Browsine, access all of our journals. You just sign in with your Cardiff Met, your ST number, as we call it, and your password, okay? And this is what the database A to Z looks like. It's the English alphabet, the A to Z. And those little boxes that say A, B, C, D at the top of the screen, they're like jump points. So if you select that, you'll jump to parts of the alphabet. But if you just arrive at the database A to Z page, it'll just show everything in alphabetical order. So about 120 databases. So my point with this slide is to get you to select the databases that you need that are relevant to your course subject. And in the top left, I've highlighted with a circle around it that you can select things like business or healthcare or art or whatever, and just see those sort of 20 odd databases for each subject. Now, I know that time is short, and we can talk about individual parts, and Chris or I could talk about individual parts of things you need for your course, that would take hours for us to do. So you've got a bit of homework, and if you could pass this along to your fellow students in your home universities. I've done a handy list of some of the best databases for each subject. Okay, so with business, if you're studying business, MBAs, so forth, then your database of choice is Business Source Premier. and that'll be in the database A to Z list, closely followed by Emerald. And there are some video lectures in HS Talks. With IT, it's things like a database called IEEE Explore. Health has lots of databases, all of its own, like particularly Medline. Sport Discus, nice play on words. And then you've got the education and art databases name checked there. So take that list, look them up in the database A to Z, and have a play with the databases. If you don't understand what you're doing, then obviously people can contact me directly. If you've got teams in your country, then you can reach out to teams, or we can Zoom chat or whatever else we can get an email if we have to. Okay. This is what an interface looks like from a lot of our databases. So they come from a family of databases owned by a big American company called EBSCO, EBS-CO, and they cover business, education, sport, all in the same kind of interface. So it looks like this, essentially. You get a couple of boxes to search for things. You only need the first box. Keep it simple. Just use the first box, maybe the second box, if you want to combine your first word with your second word in some way. Yeah, that's all I want to say about that, really. When it comes to academic skills, I'll be talking a lot more tomorrow about academic skills. And I've designed a session that'll go in a bit more detail. But this particular website that we have, study.cardiffmet.ac.uk, you can enter it straight into your browser bar. And then you'll see, you can't see it very well on this slide, but those sort of links that are very small in the sort of left-hand bottom sort of quarter of the slide cover things like referencing, how to write really well, how to think critically about the sources you're going to use in your essays. So yeah, there's plenty there, plenty of sort of little e-lessons and good quality links that our academic skills team have selected for you there. So don't forget it exists. You can phone us if you want to. It's probably best just to email us, either me directly, jfinch@cardiffmet, or better still, library@cardiffmet.ac.uk. That's the end of the sort of formal written part of what we're doing. Now we can move on to questions, and I'll just stop presenting and hand you back to whoever there, to Sam, if you've got full control. Okay. So
Thank you very much both. Absolute pleasure to have you involved as always. Any questions for either Chris or Jamie regarding IT or library? Some of the stuff in terms of academic skills, as Jamie rightly said, is going to be discussed in tomorrow morning session, looking at defining literature reviews, searches, etc. But has anyone got any questions for either of the two? You can put them in the chat, or you can speak if you'd like to. It's entirely up to you, whichever way works for you. But if we don't have any questions, then it's a massive thank you from us all for delivering as always. And a goodbye to Chris, in a sense, for this as well. And a welcome to Mark, who's hopefully going to take over the reins for future partner event sessions if I'm still around. So, yeah, tomorrow morning, though, I think what's most important is that we know that the links for tomorrow, if anyone hasn't had the links for tomorrow's sessions and for day 5 as well, please email me or put a message in the Teams now to make sure that you have them. We've still got 2 days left remaining. But yeah, so Jamie's session is going to be from 9 to around 9:45 to 10:45 tomorrow, Jamie.
Yeah, something like that. There's a fair bit to go over, mainly about sort of selecting and using sources and, as you say, literature searching and that sort of thing, keeping quality in your assignments and getting the better grades. Yeah, that's me tomorrow. Chris won't even be here. I think we're going to bring in Mark. Just so you know what he looks like.
Yeah, super.
Yeah. If we could, yeah. So it's a goodbye from me, and a hello. It's a hello from him. Hello from Mark. So to introduce Mark Philpott, he is your new global IT liaison. So he will be taking over from me. So yeah. What else to say? It's quite sad from my perspective. Good luck, Mark.
Well, there we are. So just let everyone know what we look like. So We've had some nice comments in the chat about thank you, so that's great. But if you think of any questions between now and tomorrow, then bring them with you tomorrow. So that's great, Sam, and I think we're finished now.
Yeah, that's thank you very much, gentlemen. We appreciate that, and great to meet you, Mark, as well. And Chris, all the very best, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Deserved as well. So, yeah, and that's goodbye from us today at Cardiff Met SU and Cardiff Met. We'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early at 9 a.m. across the world. So, thank you very much, and take care.
Bye.
Thank you very much, all.